Stomsky along with Harry Rock, and we're here starting off our very first Discover Westfield episode.
How exciting is this, Ken? I am so thrilled to be a part of this, and what an opportunity we have to show our community the great businesses and the other attributes of what makes Westfield so special.
And showing off Westfield, there was a show that did that a few years ago where this idea came from. Back then, it was then Mayor Dan Knappich who did a show where he went from business to business in town, and he would put it up on community access. And at that point, it was produced up at Westfield State University. And ever since that program ended, I've been wanting to do something similar. I've been wanting to bring it back, and I just haven't figured out how to do it and why I would want to do it. And then one day, Peter and I are on the road, and it came to me. You know, let's go around to some businesses to see how COVID is affecting them, and then see what they were doing before and during and now after. And that is kind of where the show idea came. And I said to myself, I go, self, I don't need to be in front of the camera for all this. People don't really care for me being in front of the camera, but I do good work behind the camera.
Oh, you're exceptional behind the camera.
And thank you. And we needed, a co-host. And both at the same time, Peter Coles and I were like, Harry Rock, he'd be perfect for this. And then after about half an hour convincing on the phone, you were in on this.
Absolutely. No, actually, I don't think it even took a half an hour. I think once I heard where you were going with this and what the intent was, I said, yep, I'm in, absolutely. And the opportunity, obviously, to work with you and to work with Pete and to use the resources of WCPC Cable Channel 15. What a great opportunity this is to showcase Westfield and the businesses, and especially during this trying time.
And I say right now, we just go to one of our first businesses.
I like that.
We're about to visit Blue Umbrella Books.
Okay. Yep. Right on the corner of Main Street and Elm Street, right across from Park Square Green. Everybody probably knows where it is, next to Leo's Deli. And you can't help but miss it with the big sign up on the door.
All right, let's jump over there and see what we find.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Don't move.
Welcome to Discover Westfield with Ken and Harry. I'm Harry Rock, and Ken Stomsky is behind the camera. Today we're visiting Blue Umbrella Books, located at 2 Main Street in Westfield across from Park Square Green. We are directly across from the park in the center of Westfield. My guest today is Russell Atwood, who is the owner of Blue Umbrella Books. So Russell, awfully nice to be in here in this little quaint bookstore that you have. So just to give our
nice
viewers,
to have you guys here.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're excited to be here. So just to give our viewers a sense of who you are you from Westfield, or did you move to Westfield?
Born in Westfield, born at the Noble Hospital.
Wow.
My mom and dad owned Atwood Drugstore, which was right on the top of the
Clay
Hill up there, across from the Turnpike. And
sure.
I grew up working there, and yeah, it was great. No,
Believe it or not, Harry, his parents were friends with my parents up off of Shaker Road years and years ago.
Ken's mom worked at our drugstore.
We actually lived a few houses away from each other on Valley Drive.
Oh my God, that's so funny. The voice you're hearing, by the way, is Kenny Stomsky, who is our co-host with myself and the producer of this great show. So you won't see a lot of him, but you will definitely hear of him. But Kenny, I want to say thank you for all the work you're doing behind the camera. So how long have you been with the bookstore?
Been here 3 years. What happened was I was living in New York City for about 25 years. I was working in the publishing industry. Worked for a couple of different magazines, Biography magazine. When I first started there, I was working for Ellery Queen's Mystery magazine. And my ambition was to become a mystery writer, and I actually did publish 2 books. One is called East of A, and this is my second novel, Losers Live Longer.
Wow.
But the long and short of it is the reason that I even got into all that is because when I was growing up here in Westfield, there was a bookstore. It was in there's been several bookstores, but the one I encountered first when I was a kid was in the basement of this big shop there. The name escapes me, Ken. You must know. It was right across where the bus station is now.
Are you talking about Building 451? Are you talking about Newberry's?
Newberry's, thank
Newberry's,
you. Yes,
sure.
in the basement of Newberry's, a couple opened up a used bookstore, and they had so many great books. And I would go there every day after school, and I would walk away with a shopping bag full of books and bring them home. But the whole point is, I read all these authors who then, when I grew up, I met. And I could say I read their books.
Wow.
And so I knew a used bookstore in my hometown changed my life. It took me around the world. I went to Oxford, and I've been interviewed mystery writers around the world. So but I really always focus back on the fact that if I hadn't had a used bookstore in my hometown, that never would have happened. And so when I decided, when New York, jobs started drying up for me in New York, and I'm kind of glad I left, considering now how things are, because people who are better than me are out of work right now in New York because of the pandemic. I moved back to New York, Westfield about 4 years ago, and then 3 years ago my parents died, and they left me a little money, and my friend Jessica Martin, the wonderful Jessica Martin, had started this bookstore, and she was also at the same time running two other businesses, one of which was a real estate business, which she's still running. The problem was, she was losing out on $5,000 commissions to sell a $3.99 used book, and so she was, even as much as she loved this, and she did organize book clubs and readings and author appearances, she just felt like she needed to move on. And luckily, at the same time, I had just gotten this money, so I was like, I'm going to take this over and do it. So that's sort of
that's interesting,
how it fell into place.
I don't really know Jessica personally, but I know of her. I've seen her on WSKB.
Oh, she's amazing.
89.5. Usually on, I don't know if she's on your show or she's on...
About once a month, she will be on Bob Plass's.
Bob Plass's.
Wow.
It's Tuesdays. That's the show she's on. So I've seen her on that, and Bob is very well read himself, so they're usually talking about different authors and different books.
Yeah, they do a monthly book club discussion.
So you're a voracious reader, I take it.
I am. Well, I used to be until I started working. People think I work at a bookstore and I read all the time, but unfortunately, I'm working all the time.
Now you're the businessman, right?
Putting things on the shelves, and I'm putting books up where I'm like, I want to read that, and then somebody comes in and buys it, but I'm like, that's okay. I want to sell it, but I was hoping it was going to stay there another week, and maybe I would have got to it.
Right.
But that's great. I don't mind moving it on.
So I have to ask you, you've lived in New York City. I came from New Jersey before coming here, so we were just outside the city, so we spent a lot of time in the city, so I'm used to that environment and that high energy and everything that area has to offer. Was it a tough transition coming back here from there?
Definitely. Mainly because I made a family of friends there, and then having to leave them was the most difficult part. And I stayed to the bitter end. But part of it was I was a freelance writer, and jobs just started drying up for whatever reason. And then I was, for the last 3 years, I was working as a porter in a variety of bars. I was working at the Thirsty Scholar, Grassroots, Party 2.
Doing what you can to survive, right?
Right, and then drinking a lot, because that's what you do at bars. So it was sort of getting to the point where it was like, I sort of needed a change. And then my parents were getting older. And so actually I moved back 2 years before. My dad died a year later, and then my mom died 2 years later. So I got to spend the last little time with them and stuff. So it all worked out okay. But then again, like I said, now that this pandemic has struck, and I have friends who are more talented than me that are having trouble finding work, it's because, I saw pictures of Midtown Broadway, and there's just shuttered shops because no tourists are coming. So it's just, which is again, and then not to keep blathering on here, but and then even in our own area, of course, you're getting that ripple. A bookshop in East Hampton just closed, and
oh, is that right?
other places are closing. So sometimes I feel like the last man standing.
Right.
At
So
this bookshop.
let's talk about this
Yeah,
place.
sure.
It's an eccentric place, I
Yeah.
have to say. You come in here. When I first walked in, you had this little looks like
guy?
a little snake thing running around
We'll
that's
show you later.
electronically
Yeah, I'll show you
driven.
that.
You've got this, and I think, Kenny, you've probably got this on our B-roll, but we've got a dragon that's going around on a fan right now. We've got Ghost on a fan.
Giant eyeball.
We've got this giant eyeball.
I know, you almost
in
don't
here.
notice it. There's so many things to notice.
You go in the back, and there's a corner that's like a shrine to Stephen King. There's a tree back here. Very eclectic place. A whole
very
mix
intentional, very
Right.
intentional. One of the things was that actually we almost went out of business this past February, and we had an eviction notice from my landlord. Frankly, the rents are a little too high. Maybe that'll be one of the things that adjusts after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Maybe the rents will lower just a little bit.
Something is better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly, especially when other things are closing and people are reluctant to open up new businesses. But regardless, but anyway, when that happened, I was like, oh man, I have to do something. And one of the things was I would do all these window displays, and people would walk by and they'd poke their head in and say, I love your window, and then they'd keep walking. It's like, I didn't make a sale. Why am I doing these window displays? So then we got there, well, I'm going to put the window displays inside, and then you have to come inside to see my window displays.
Oh.
And the original idea was to do a roadside attraction like you would see in a desert in like Nevada, where it's like see the snake den and stuff. And so I actually have a little snake pit over there with rattlesnakes, and I have snakes all over the place. That's
Not real
That was
snakes.
well, as you see, they're puppet snakes. Yeah,
Okay,
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have to remind people. But as you see, I mean, you can't miss.
Harry,
fact-
if there were real snakes in here, we wouldn't be here right now.
I mean, I'll mean just to like illustrate. I'll grab one of these guys out of here.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I'm not a snake guy.
So he's just a plush toy, but he's got a little
Oh, he does.
rattle there. Anyway, so that was the plan, and then it kind of expanded to the point where I created the Medusa head from Greek mythology, which I then tied in with books. I have a whole selection of books. That was it, and then I have reptile books. So I do these displays, but then I tie them into my vast collection of books that we have for sale and stuff. So we try to tie it in. But again, it was like, in desperation, out of we actually all our effort. That was all our efforts in February actually succeeded in us paying off our back rent, canceling the eviction, and I thought, coming into March, I was like, man, we are set.
Oh, good for you.
But then the pandemic hit, and everything changed, and then we were closed for 5 months.
Yeah, it's been tough for businesses.
During that time, one of the things we did though was that I have a free book rack outside, and it's like from the very first day I closed, I started putting free books up because the library was closed. And here's this key time when people are stuck at home, they have to be quarantined. This is the perfect time when they need to read, and they can't get to books. Mm-hmm. So I made a point of like restocking that. So I probably gave away 1,000 books from the time we closed March 27th to the time we reopened August 1st.
Oh, wow.
But that's okay, because that's part of my mission was to get hands. I mean, the idea of people not having books during that time. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I made some new readers who are now going to be customers and stuff. And people have come in and thankfully, bought books because they did get free books during that time. So
where do you get all your books? You said that these are all used books.
I do some like shop. Actually, when I first started, I mean, it was I'm still selling books that I got from Newberry's in the basement when I was like a teenager. I have a vast collection, and then I worked at a bookstore in New York City called Black Orchid Bookshop. And when they close, that's because that's what bookstores do. Bookstores close. Mm-hmm. I know that's what's going to happen to us too. It's about how long you stay open. Mm-hmm. They're all going to close. Bookstores close. But I got their collection too. So anyway, a lot of them were mine. But then people bring donations in, and then I go and search around, especially because I like to keep our classics in stock. I'll get To Kill a Mockingbird, Camus' The Stranger. I'll get things that I know that people always want to read. So I'll go out and seek those things. Yeah.
Now you're a relatively small shop here, but you've got a lot of shelves just filled with books. How many books would you say you have in here?
More than you actually can see, because I have more in the basement. These
Oh
is
my
like the cream of the crop.
Okay.
I definitely, not that I censor books, but I try to bring up the best books first, and they're all reasonably priced. But I mean, I'm doing over 3,000 books, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
got to be at least 3,000
Wow.
books in the shop.
Matter of fact, I'm sitting here. I'm looking at a Harley Davidson book that's sitting next to you.
Isn't that awesome? Oh, it's a great
I'm
book.
going to actually purchase that
Oh,
from
you should.
you.
Oh,
My
check it
brother-in-law is an avid Harley Davidson
Oh my God! Look at it.
motorcycle rider and owner, and I'm going to
Sorry,
buy that as a
because
present
people won't
for
be
him
able to
when I
buy it
walk
now.
out
Oh
of
my
here.
God! No, it's the whole timeline
Yep.
of the entire history. No, it's awesome. No,
Fantastic.
You're right.
So you
Good
put
eye,
that
good
aside.
eye,
I just
good
happened
eye.
to notice that. So
Well, that's one of the rules we say. We also say that books find people. That
Right. So
sometimes I just let people like look,
I will-
browse if you want to find some, but otherwise, I think the book you want is going to jump out at you.
Right. So, how do people find you? Is it just people happening to walk by? Do people know of you? How do people even know
we
that
are
Blue
kind of word of
Umbrella?
mouth. Like one of the things when I reopened in August, I didn't. I mean, obviously, I could have said grand reopening, but that's contrary to the bylaws that are going on now, because I can't have 100 people show up. I'm pretty much at my capacity allows me 10 people at one time in here.
Okay.
So, after my staff or whatever,
Yep.
10 other people. So I have to monitor that. So at first I did a $5 admission towards a purchase because I just wanted to monitor things, but it's worked out okay. So I've had 8 people here, and so I've always been about the 8 range. So I haven't had a turning barrier. But again, it's like, I would have loved to have. Like I have all these crazy things. I would have loved to have been like, hey.
Right.
I'm doing a carnival. Come out, step right up, but stay 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah, it's tough to do. It's really challenging.
Yeah, so
conditions
it's a
right
tightrope
now.
between
Right.
that. But at the same time, luckily, word of mouth has been getting around, and the parents that come in with their kids, and the kids love it. They then tell their friends who have kids.
So you're
and
getting
say,
families with young children?
Oh no, the kids love this stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah. No,
So
they love
let's talk about your clientele. Who is it? All age ranges, or
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely go the full range. Luckily, I do have a lot of very loyal families that come in, and the kids appreciate it. And again, we do all these kind of wonderful things they like, and sometimes I have to tone it down because I want the kids to look at the book and not play with all the toys and stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I have to kind of subtract it sometimes. And then one of the nice things is that on Sundays especially, because we're practically the only thing open in downtown Westfield, we get a lot of people who just drive through and see our open sign and pull up. So we get people from all over. And other cities, unfortunately, don't have used bookstores. So I have people from Southwood coming in, Hartford,
Really?
Russell, because those towns or whatever don't have used bookstores. So then they hear about us, and we're the closest thing.
It's just more affordable.
Next to thing. And then when they get here, and then they see we have a really good eclectic collection. We specialize in history and classics and horror and then again we just expanded our young adult section right behind it. So yeah, we get a lot of that. So yeah, we get a lot of everything, and
So
and
you
we
have-
do some
you have-
events online also. We've been doing some things online.
you have soft cover, you have hardcover, you have a little of everything. I'm looking at Frederick Douglass over there.
Yeah, and actually we actually outside in the front we have a 4 bins of $1 LPs.
You know, I
for
spotted
those
that.
hipsters.
So I
A lot of
spotted
them are
that.
folk albums, but still.
I spotted that on the way in. So it's
Yeah.
all vinyl, classic
Yeah,
vinyl.
that's one of those things we do to like if people driving by. That draws them in. As long
So
as I
what's
get them
in
the
what's in
door.
the vinyl? I'm curious because
I pepper it with some good thing. I have a Christopherson and Rita Coleridge album out there. It's really good. And somebody just bought a Charlie Pride this morning.
wow.
But sometimes it's polka. There's a lot of polka music because we get them as donations. So it's what
Okay.
I'll salt the mine a little bit with something good. So you need
know,
to like browse to find it.
it kills me right now because vinyl is in Kenny. I know you're a fan of music. And vinyl is so hot right now. And when I moved out of New Jersey, I had bins and bins
Right.
of classic rock and roll albums, everything you could think of. From
Vinyl never really went away. Actually, last year and the year before, vinyl sales outsold CD sales.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Back then,
so
the music was heavy.
I had bins, and we were looking to, basically get rid of as much stuff to make the move up here to Westfield. And so I just put them out, and I think I was selling crates of them for buy a crate of albums for $3 just to get rid of them. And I look back now, and I'm thinking I had Beatles and the Band and the Doors, and I'd be Steppenwolf and the Stones. It's all these classic great albums. I look back now, what they're probably worth today.
Yeah, that entire shelving unit behind the two of you, I have something similar in size to that at home that is all vinyl.
You can
I just
retire on that.
I don't have the heart to get rid of any of it.
Oh, keep it. No, you can retire on that stuff.
That is absolutely amazing.
So yeah, we do that. We try our hand, and we actually then we have a great local artist, Susan Buffum, who is a writer, but she also does I'll have to just pull one out to show you since I'm talking about her, and if you don't mind me stepping around. But actually, she does these great art prints, and they're actually she does a lot of has a whole collection of the black squirrels, which is sort of the unofficial mascot of Westfield. Yeah. So we sell her prints, and she's also done some great. We're going to be doing our Halloween selection. She's done some great Universal monsters. So she has Frankenstein and the Mummy and the Werewolf and Dracula, and so she's got all that. But so we do other things. Yeah. So we're a bookstore, but we kind of expand. And then we have our great friend Hugh Nager, who we're going to show later on, who's a glass artist who comes in here pretty much at least twice a month and does displays of glass artistry. And anyway, so we got our finger in a lot of different pots here.
I want to just speak to that for a second here, and Kenny, I think you've got some B-roll of that we'll be able to show our viewers and listeners, but the work that is going on behind me is amazing. It's just these small little intricate figurines all made of glass. As I understand, we've got items out there on display that signify different authors' birthdays of people that have come along.
Right, we did. Well, yeah, we had a Dr. Seuss event, and for that, Hugh designed Thing 1 and Thing 2. He also has a Lorax over there, I believe. He also does Snoopy. We did an Edgar Allan Poe event, and I think he did a Raven for us. He just made a bat for me recently. One of our things is the Medusa head, part of our carnival that we did this, and he made the Medusa head for me out of class. So basically, whatever you ask, he can make it happen. It's pretty amazing.
And for the record, Harry, for that, that's going to be A-roll, not B-roll.
That's A-roll, okay.
The B-roll regarding that has already been run if you see this part of the video already.
Got it.
Yeah, he set up a thing, too, so he's actually in my window, so you can just walk by sometimes and just see him do his business. So.
Right, yeah, no, it's fascinating. So I'm curious, my wife is a voracious reader. It's hard to find her not sitting reading a book. Sometimes she's got 2 and 3 going at a time, and I can't believe how fast she can go through. She's got a book club that she's the chairperson of, and they're always meeting now on Zoom to talk about books and stuff.
Oh, yeah, we've done that for our Stephen King book club.
Yep. So we're talking about physical books here. I'm curious about electronic books and e-readers. What has that done to physical book sales? And does that hurt you? Does that help you? Are you able to jump off of that at all?
As an author myself, I don't have any disagreement with how you sell your work. So I'm happy to sell my digital work. So I don't mind if authors sell their digital work. However, I know that people do actually prefer a book. And I think there's a different experience when you read a physical book because you can linger on a passage. You can reread a sentence. There's some great Audible books where a great actor that you love reads the book you want to read, and that's fun, but you get their interpretation as opposed to whatever voice you form in your head, and I think that's a more personal thing, and again, you can stop and you can go back and you can flip, and it's or you can underline something, and so a physical book I think is always going to exist, but again, it's hey, as long as, the story is the thing, so I don't care any for it.
For me, I've got a Kindle, but I don't use it that way. I just, to me, I've got to be physically holding something. It's kind of like the newspaper. A lot of people say, well, I don't have a newspaper subscription. I just read it off the computer. And I'm thinking, you know what? Every day I look forward to getting the paper. I walk down to my paper box, I pull the paper, I come back and I'm opening the paper and I'm scanning. And if I see an article about a story I'm going to do, I hold that to the side. I do not find the news or stories that I want to read about online. It's got to be in print. I'm probably old school compared to that, but I have a lot of my younger friends who definitely prefer e-readers and Kindles, and people do work off of that.
There's a textural feel to things too. I mean, you can't escape the fact that an old book, the papers, they don't print books on the paper they print it on now. It was real paper. It's a pulpy thing. Now they do something. So, I mean, there's a whole experience going on. And then sometimes you find somebody has written a note on the caption. It's a very interactive thing. It's something more stale about the e-readers, but at the same time, text is text. And I think if you're a good, and I mean, I could read Gatsby in any form. Could read it if you spelled it out in macaroni, you know. I mean, there's certain books I would read no matter how I would read them. So it doesn't matter to me. But again, I think a book, and then sometimes the pages are uneven or whatever, or you find something inside from like 1972.
Because
book, you know?
Right.
You know, there's a whole, so we are, I mean, I have to say, we are like 85% used. But I try to get new things, and especially for the kids. I will try to find the new books the kids want to read because I want kids to be reading books. But at the same time, I think most of our adult books we get like used, and yeah.
Let me ask you about kids. We certainly know the kids are, in today's world, it's all about the screen. You know, kids are very screen-oriented, whether it's TV, computers, their iPads or tablets, but they're focused on looking at a screen. But have kids lost the love and joy of reading, or do you find that kids still enjoy that on top of the screen time that they have? Have you noticed any trends that way?
Well, you know, I mean, I think people who like to read are always oddballs, and so I get the oddballs in, and I'm very happy to have them. I think they're my core customers. So
the oddballs.
Yeah, and they love books, and so I'm glad and they always surprise me a little bit. So I'm not sure if there's less. I think there was always less, unfortunately. I wish more people would read. My friends don't read as much as they would like to. That's why I write books, but I blame the authors, I have to say. It's like, you need to write a book that this bored person who's stuck on a screen can't not read. Because you have to adapt to whatever's, because that's your challenge. I mean, that's the author's challenge, is to get somebody to read. So, but at the same time, I think if you stick with Don Quixote, you're going to love Don Quixote, even though it seems like a little old-fashioned, but I love Don Quixote. Yeah.
I'm curious, with COVID having taken place and schools having been shut down, it's all remote learning right now, has there been an uptick of families coming in for books? Have you seen, and has that helped you at all?
Well, again, during the break, I had the free books out there all the time, and I definitely saw kids going by.
You were closed, so you couldn't take advantage of it.
Well, I did take advantage of it in that I gave away a lot of free books to kids.
Yeah.
And I was inside work because I had to. One of the things I actually had more shelves in the center here, but I have to make space. That's why there's a giant eyeball. It's meant to do this space thing we're supposed to be doing. So I actually needed more space than I needed a book. So I put a lot of free books out. Well, while I was working here doing that, I'd hear parents go by, and one day I heard like some little girl go, "Oh, they've got this." And I was like, "Oh, man, I'm so glad I put that out this morning." Because it's like, that really is more important to me than making a $1.99 sale, which probably I would have sold that book for. So I was like, the fact that little girl was excited. So people are excited. And again, I think it actually kind of helped me in that kids were bored and they wanted to read books because there was nothing else to do. So I think more readers came out of this pandemic than we lost readers.
So what do you have for kids and for families that would be interested in books? What kind of, is there a wide selection? Is it all fiction, nonfiction?
Yeah, well, we just redid our thing here, and actually one of the things we did was so this is sort of the young adult section, which would be like 15 to 18, and then you get down to 11 years old to 13, and then so because that way the younger kids can grab the smaller things and
it's perfectly height.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of height adjusted. So that's what we just did.
That's funny.
My friend Marty actually just helped me do that. So so we have that, but so we have like a whole like selection there. But we have like classics and new things, and actually, one of the nice things that happened this past week was that 2 school teachers came in and walked away with a big stack of books, which I gave them a discount on, but they want new books for their kids, and they're having trouble with their budgets.
Oh, okay.
So they came in and they cleaned up, but they walked away with some really good stuff, and I was happy to like knock a buck off you. I was like, oh, that's only $1, that's only $1, you know what I mean? So that was great, because again, it's like that's sort of my mission more than, you know.
So let's talk about pricing of books. You know, obviously, if usually the price is always on the back.
Yeah, we have a sticker.
Okay, so you have a sticker on here, so every book is labeled so that people can see exactly what it's going to cost. So, you know, and I don't have a sense of what books originally cost, but so this one is listed at $5, and you've got it, the original price was $5, and you have it listed for $2. So how do you price books? Are they all in a very affordable price range? You mark them down like 80%?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially because we do get a lot of donations, and again, I started with my own collection, but I like passing on my books, and I don't have room for them anyway. So
if people
but I like to pass on books. I just like people reading the book. So
if people are looking to, sometimes they're just looking to purge. You know, I've got too many books. I've got boxes of books that I've read, or these are left over from the kids. If they're looking to get rid of those, they can bring them in and donate them to you, and you'll take them and resell them?
I do. I mean, I stopped that during when we were closed for March 27th, only because, again, I had an overstock of books that I was giving away. So I was happy, again, because I had to make room to accommodate this whole space thing. So I've been taking donations again. We prefer the classics, like I said, To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, the books that, every person has to read, and history, any kind of history books, we love. We have a really wonderful history section. So, we like that. Sometimes I have to say, somebody will bring in 3 boxes of books, and it's like, there's only 2 books I need. But there are 2 books I need. Like, it'll be the Diary of Anne Frank, and I'm like, oh, I need a Diary of Anne Frank. So I'll be happy to take those other books that I don't really need.
The rest of them go out as the free ones.
Well, I put them in the basement. Yeah, they'll put that's what I do. I put them in. I'll either store them in the basement or I put them in the free. Right, exactly. Okay. So that works. So it works out. So there's a nice organic feel to that. Right.
Now, can people call, and if they don't want to come in? Do people have to come in to get a book? Can they call you and have a book held out?
Yeah, pretty much. We are brick and mortar. Yeah, I haven't. I know a lot of other bookstores, that's the way they've gone during the pandemic, which to have more of an online presence. And I did do that for a while, but it just became a problem, whereas like with all the packing and the going to the post office and the listing on eBay, I was making like $3 to move books. So sometimes I'll put actually, frankly, if you come into my bookstore, you'll find some really good bargains, because I'll put a book that I've seen on eBay for like $50 for like $20, just because I don't want to have to go through the process of putting it on eBay. And I'm hoping, like, if you see it for like $19.99, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's worth more. And then they can put it on eBay if they want. So it kind of offers them that. They can make the extra $5, but for me, I'll just like put it. But anyway, no, we have some great. I have like the first edition of Misery up there for $19.99. That I know it goes for like $45.
No, that's a great idea now. Flipping books.
It is.
You just don't have to flip houses. You just don't have to flip houses anymore.
Right. No, I definitely encourage that. And we definitely have a lot of that stuff because, like I said, it's more of a hassle for me to go through the process of photographing and enlisting, writing a little description. I'd rather give you that opportunity. So, but yeah, you find some great things here for nothing here.
So you've got 3,000 books up here. You got more books downstairs. You're selling books. You're constantly bringing new books in. You're writing books. You got different. How do you know if I came in and said, I want this title under such and such an author, will you be able to tell me, yes, I've got it, or would you have to think about it or go through? Or is there
freakishly aware of my stock. Yes.
Wow.
I am freakishly aware of my stock. I know what books I have, yes.
That's amazing. I'm impressed. So let's talk about, how do you advertise this? Do you have a website? Are you on Facebook?
We do a lot of Facebook stuff, and we
okay.
do like live Facebook events.
So Facebook is under Blue Umbrella Books?
Blue Umbrella Books, and then we also do a Ghost Stories live show that's connected with Facebook. We have a GoFundMe campaign. If anybody loves if you're watching this and you love our bookstore and you just want to throw money at us, we have a GoFundMe campaign being sponsored by Ghost Stories Live, which is a monthly show we used to do here live, but now we're doing it just virtually, yeah.
Do you have a website?
I have a website, but I don't really...
Don't use it. So Facebook is...
Yeah, Facebook is the only thing
that's the place to find it.
And then,
okay.
But yeah, again, we're kind of brick and mortar. But again, we do... when we do a live event, I will record it, and it will be telecast live on Facebook Live, and then I usually share it on YouTube as well.
Okay. And let's talk about hours, days that you're open.
Currently, we are Wednesday through Sunday. We're hoping to expand those hours. But yeah, it's a lot of work, so I need a few days off is the problem. But yeah, so right now it's Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 6.
And Saturdays and Sundays. So
yeah,
for families looking for something
yeah.
to do, especially with children that are home, what a great thing to do, but come down to your local bookstore. This is so exciting. Wow.
It's a lot of fun, and you'll definitely see some crazy things. I would promise you. It's always changing. And if you came here before, you'll see something different the next time you come.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you think you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, I do want to say we're in transition. We're going to have a haunted house. So this is probably, by the time this airs, people should know that by the time you come here, it's going to be kind of a haunted house thing. We have these like arrows on our ceiling that leads you on a path around, and we'll have different little things. But local artists have already been contributing. We're going to have something called a night gallery based on Rod Serling's old show, The Night Gallery. So they've already been contributing these weird pieces of art. And so we're going to have a whole corner that's just going to be local artists with their macabre contributions. So that's just started. But by the time this airs, it'll be up and running.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that when you come in here, and I'm going to give a clue to the viewers and listeners, because I hadn't even looked up, but now as I look up, I see red arrows everywhere.
Right.
I see this giant yellow snake that's kind of hanging. I'm guessing that's a snake.
Yep. There you go.
There is a mishmash of a little of everything in here. It is definitely eclectic, but. Well, Kenny, is there anything else that you can think of as you stand behind the camera doing the great work that you're doing?
I think we just want to mention pre-COVID some of the other things that Russell has done here, which I'm sure he can't wait to start doing again.
Absolutely. I mean, we had started an open mic poetry monthly event with a local woman, Shemai Marty. Unfortunately, we've had to postpone that. We usually do our Ghost Stories live. We'd love to have local authors come in. We've had a ton of local authors come in. Our book club, again, we do a Stephen King book club, and lately we've just been doing that virtually. But we usually do another book club once a month, which is the general book. So, and then I'd love to do children's readings again. So we'll see what happens. See how everything goes. But again, it's I have been trying to... I have it to the point where I could actually, on a moment's notice, I could make this a completely empty space, and I think I could make a very comfortable setting so that we could... I think we can get to the point where we're going to do another live event very shortly. And but we love doing that, yeah.
Well, it's really been fun being here, both for Ken and myself. I admire your enthusiasm and your passion. I think that anybody that comes in here can't help but get carried away with excitement for trying to find a book just being around you. You've got a boundless amount of energy, and if there's anyone that could have kept this thing going
the books
during
will find you. There
times,
you go.
there we go.
I'm gonna walk out.
I'll make sure that I pay for this, and to my brother-in-law, Roy, well, this is coming your way,
really
and hopefully
cool.
you'll get this before you see this show.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody else who missed out. You should have come in.
That's right. But we are at Blue Umbrella Books, located at 2 Main Street in Westfield. We're right off Park Square Green, really right on the corner next to Leo's Deli, and you can't miss it. You'll see the sign out front. But really excited to be here and just see a small business, one of many here in Westfield that's still struggling to make a go of it. But I admire your passion, and it's certainly, I'm sure you're not pulling a big salary out of this place, and it's all about just trying to pay the bills.
Yeah,
but you're trying to keep it going.
And the community's been very supportive, and so, again, it's like that makes a difference. When people appreciate it, it's like, oh, okay, I can keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome. So my guest today is Russell Atwood, who's the owner of Blue Umbrella Books, and on behalf of Ken Stomsky, I am Harry Rock. Thanks for tuning in to Discover Westfield with Ken and Harry.
My name is Hugh Nagar.
Friend Hugh Nagar, who is a glass artist, and he's making things out of glass. You definitely check it out. But yeah, you can watch it. Start over here, though.
I'm turning glass back into a liquid.
That's
heating
a
it
whole
up.
like kid section, but explore all around. We have a lot of crazy things around. I know, with a flying pig. Really? Oh, there's a giant snake up here. We have another giant snake over here. Oh, and here's my big friend. He's going to come out here. Oh, there he is. Here he comes. Oh, he's shy. He's shy. Oh, he's shy. He's going to get over here, though. I got it.
Then I got 5 seconds working time to shape the neck of this little picture until it solidifies. Then I'm going to reverse the opening to apply air pressure to make the top of the picture. Then I go to the creative part. I don't know what shape this is going to take, but the kids get a big kick out of it. I have them count for a bazooka bubblegum bubble.
He does look like a parachute.
Then I take a glass
Thank you
rod.
for coming today to see the Trump. So anyway, yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much, you saw the highlight. That's what I did today. Giant eye.
Now I need a fresh piece of glass. So I give it a little soak and it snaps off. And I'm going to put a handle on this little picture. And it's like painting in 3 dimensions. And the glass will follow the contour of my hands.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, you. So funny. Surprised it stayed on the shelf that long.
Well, it's funny because my brother-in-law's an avid, he owns a Harley and he rides every weekend. And, this is his life. He's a Vietnam vet, so
You're gonna love it. It's so
I can't
comprehensive
believe
and
I was
easy to
just
check
sitting.
out.
I was just sitting there and I'm looking across at you and I said, oh my God, this is Harley.
That's fun. I just like the whole folder. You can just set it on the table and just look at it.
We have a little glass.
It's not like you have to turn. You can just set it all
For
out,
Mom.
get all in gold.
Mother's Day gift. Little flowers.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, geez.
Whoa.
I don't think I could ever get used to that.
I know, gosh, that's the first time I've ever done that.
All right. So we're at our first business.
That was phenomenal. What an exceptional visit that was at Blue Umbrella. I've been in there a couple of times, but never have I had a real insight to what goes on there, what he has to offer. And when you go in, it's like a little museum in there. There's all kinds of stuff. You have to look up at the ceiling. You're looking down. There are so many things going on in there besides just books.
And besides just the 3,000 books.
The 3,000 books and the other 1,000 or more that he's got in the basement.
Which the proprietor, Russell Atwood, has that whole catalog in his brain somehow.
That was absolutely amazing to me, because when I asked him, I said, if I was to come in here, because he said his books are constantly turning over, I said, if I came in here to ask you for a specific book, could you tell me if you had it and where it is? He said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It was just amazing. And not only books, but outside I saw a couple of crates filled with LP vinyl albums.
Right.
And I know you're a big audiophile, and you've got a lot of vinyl at home. I was sharing the story that when I moved up here from New Jersey, I had crates of all these classic rock, all these great albums, and I sold them all like for 25 cents an album.
And now it feels painful just thinking about that.
Oh, it does, because vinyl has made such a huge comeback, and those were just such iconic albums at the time, and still are.
So great prices, great personalities down at Blue Umbrella Books. If you are another business out there and you want to take part of this, please go on to www.westfieldtv.org and contact the admin. There's a section on there for contacting the admin and get your information out to us, and maybe we'll be out to see you.
That would be great. It's a lot of fun for us to get to know the businesses better, but what's really a tremendous opportunity to the business community is for you to showcase your business to our community and let them know how well you're doing, what you have to offer to our residents, to the families, to the people who live here, and just let us know, as Kenny said. We'll be out to see you.
Excellent. I brought us in. Why don't you take us out?
You have been listening to Discover Westfield with Ken and Harry.